Hey, week 3, Never Settle Club. This week, hashtag Monetize. It's time to make some money. So tweet this up, post it, put it out there. Hashtag Monetize is this week's theme. So a lot of people talk about finding your passion and, you know, if you find your passion, the money will come. BS. I know plenty of people that are doing their passion and are broke. Now, some of them they're not worried about making money, and that's fine. They just want to do their passion, and that's fine. But I'm talking about those of you that want to profit from your passion. So if that's you, that's certainly me. I want to make money and impact from what I'm passionate about. So the first thing is you need to come up with one main idea, one primary way that you can come up with that's going to help you monetize your passion. Outside of that, you're going to need at least 2 to 3 other ways to generate revenue. Often I tell people minimum of 3 different ways to come up with a list of a minimum of 3 different ways that you can generate revenue from that idea. The thing is, you might start thinking of a lot of different ways that you can make money from an idea, but not every way is going to make the most sense at a particular time. So I use a formula to help break all of this down. The formula that I use is, what are you most passionate about? So you take your highest passion and then you add what's got the best market potential for it, but then you minus the amount of money or the amount of resources and energy that you're going to need in order to pull it off. So highest passion, what are you super passionate about, plus what has great market potential, minus what's going to be doable, what's not going to take a lot of time, energy, resources, and money. That's going to help you out of your long list of ways that you can make money. Pick the ones that are the most doable. In order to identify your market potential, you should ask yourself a few questions. Number 1, is your product, is your service really solving a problem? And if so, specifically, what problem is it solving? It has to have a market need. Is there a pain point that you are really fixing? That's really a problem that you are really solving. So that's one. Who are your potential customers? You have to know who they are. Maybe some of you already have customers, but who are those potential customers for those of you that don't? If you do have customers, where are you going to find more? How are you going to grow? So knowing where your customers are is also going to be important to finding out whether or not your idea has real, legit market potential. Another one is there competition that's already out there? Is this competition local, national? Is it international? And a lot of times some people will say, no, there's no competition. Like, I haven't seen anything out there that's different from my idea. Typically, that means you haven't done enough research. And more than likely, that may mean because someone else is operating in stealth and just hasn't promoted it. But the chances of us coming up with something that's very new that other people aren't working on at the time is very, very slim. So always assume that there's some type of competition that's going to be out there. And that leads me to my next point. Because if there's, let me say this first, if there isn't any competition, that might bring up a red flag too, because maybe it's just not a good idea. Like, maybe it's just not the right timing. Maybe there's a reason why there isn't other competition. So think that through. But that does bring me up to your USP. What is really your unique selling position? What's that unique differentiator? What is so unique about your service or about your product? It can't just be, if I'm doing a service, that because I have great customer service. Like, that's not good enough. Like, what really makes you unique and differentiates you? There's so much clutter out there. You have to really dig into what's unique to you, what's unique to your DNA. Don't try to manufacture something there that isn't there. Go with what's you, because that's going to naturally and authentically be unique to you. So you just have to dig within and really figure out, what's the unique thing that we're doing here? Is it the team and something special about my team? Is it really the product? Is that different than anything else in the marketplace? Like, really understand what's uniquely different about your product or your service. And then don't get caught up researching to death. The whole idea with doing this formula is to help you quickly Because doing your homework, you're going to come up with a whole list of things that you could monetize for your ideas, like ways that you can make money. But you're not going to be able to do all 10 or 15 or 20 of these ideas. You're going to use the formula to help you really identify the 2 to 3, maybe 5 ideas that you really can go after right away that you could start working on. So don't research yourself to death. Do enough, but the best way to identify market potential is to actually create something. Like, do it. Build it. If it's a prototype, make a prototype of it. If it's a YouTube series, shoot a video reel. Shoot a demo of what you intend to put out there. Like, make it. Do something so people can have something to react to that you can really see if there's a market potential for that particular idea. So I put together a couple of examples to help you kind of think through this whole monetization thing and how the formula kind of applies to that. So the first thing I want to think of is help you think through a passion. So walk with me on this one. So if your passion, let's say, is vegan baking, you love to cook and you cook vegan, but you bake. Like, that's your specialty. That's your passion. That's what drives you to get up every day. So the idea is to come up with as many ideas as possible that you could monetize that passion. So maybe some obvious ones come right to mind. Like, maybe the first thing you think of is open up a bakery. Like, that seems to be like the first thing, but that's gonna require you to have a store. Then you're gonna have to pay for the lease, and it's gonna take a lot of upfront capital and investment. And so staffing. So you got a lot of things that you have to really think through as it relates to that particular monetization. Another one could be, say, a food truck, though. Maybe you're like, you know, having a whole store is a lot, whereas a food truck may be something I can manage a little bit more, maybe a little bit less cost. Maybe I'm great on social media, so people will just come to my truck wherever it is. So that could be another way to monetize, but you have to apply the formula to see what makes the most sense. Another one could be maybe a YouTube series. Maybe you're really good at baking and you're also great on camera, and you want to teach people what you do and maybe make a series out of the vegan baking that you do. You could deliver your cupcakes or your desserts to stores. So maybe instead of having a storefront or even doing a food truck, you could say, you know what? I could just deliver my product or have it shipped to a store or maybe a cafe or a specific restaurant that would love my desserts in their restaurant. And then, you know, even think beyond that, right? Like, you could do classes. Like, you could teach people. You could teach people at a community college. You could really, but you got to think through, like, am I good in instruction? Am I good as a teacher? Can I do that? Is that something I want to do? So this is why applying the formula makes sense. And if you think about all the things I just gave you, another one could be making your own recipe book. And if you think about it, like, wait, I love vegan baking. I'm doing it now, but maybe the recipe book is the easiest thing for you to do. Maybe it's not because you don't write well or you just feel like that's going to be tough for you to write, but maybe you can do that on your own time while you still have your 9 to 5 or you're still doing your own thing, and you can actually get that piece moving forward. So the point of this whole model is come up with your passion and then start really listing out and think broad, think big on how many different ways you can monetize it, and then you're going to apply the formula to see what works best for you. So maybe you have access to capital, maybe you have friends that will invest, but maybe you don't have any money. So eventually out of this model, you should find at least 2 to 3 things that will work for you at this particular point in time. And don't let, you know, just this one example sit in. Don't let it just be like, it's about, you know, retail or food. I mean, think big on this. If you have a hobby or a specific interest, maybe you are an all-out Star Wars collector. Maybe you're just passionate about Star Wars and you just love anything Star Wars. Well, just don't think like, well, that's not a passion that I can make money from. That's exactly what this whole thing is all about. Like, you should absolutely put down Star Wars as my passion and then really think through, well, how can I make money? Well, maybe I could buy memorabilia and resell it. Maybe I could set up my own eBay store. Maybe I could host events that are Star Wars themed. Maybe I could create a fan site or a fan blog. There's like a ton of things that you can come up with based around whatever your hobby or interest or passion is. apply the formula, and something will come up to the surface that will start to make sense. All right, boys and girls, it's time for homework. That's right, it's time for you to do some work. It's the Never Settle Club. So this week's homework is all about helping you think through as many ways to monetize your passion as possible. So one way that you can think about this too is look back at your passions from week 2 and see what those are, and then come up with at least, so you're going to come up with a long list, but then what you're going to do is apply the formula and then at least have 3 to 5 ideas that you feel comfortable that you can do at this time, that like are the best match for you at this time. And then share it up. You have to share it. Take a picture of it, post it, put it into the Facebook group. If you're getting stuck and you have questions, make sure you lean on the group for some advice and for some help. And then of course, Spreecast Friday, where we do the live web Q&A. So if you're stuck on anything and Friday hits, don't worry about it. You can join me live on the web and I'll answer your questions and hopefully get you through the weekend. All right, so that's your homework. Now go make it happen.